Today we look at the 17 most extreme body modifications ever. You won't believe the things people will do to their bodies.
Number 17.
This procedure, termed bagel head for obvious reasons, is often thought to have originated in Japan because it is more popular there, but actually the phenomenon started in Canada in 2000 by a performance artist named Jerome Abramovich. 300 to 400 cc's of saline solution is slowly injected into the recipient's head for 2 hours. The tissue becomes malleable and will hold shapes for a period of time, so people press the thumb into it to give it the bagel appearance. It doesn't have to be done on the forehead, and almost any part of the body can be inflated like this. The effect only lasts for 24 hours as the body slowly absorbs the saline solution.
Number 16.
What you're looking at is called eye jewelry. The eye belongs to Deborah Boer, who had a platinum heart surgically placed in her eye in the Netherlands. The procedure is now being done in the United States in New York under the name Safe Sight Jewelry, and the procedure costs about $3,000, and the jewelry is removable. No report yet of anyone putting a walnut, almond, or other nut in their eye.
Number 15.
Genya Bolatov has spent the last 7 years trying to look like a platypus. He says as a child he was very quiet and shy and felt like he didn't belong. He started stretching his lips at age 19, and he plans to keep stretching them throughout his life. He says it took bravery to do what he's done, and that he will keep modifying his body until he's happy.
Number 14.
Xronic's name is Veronica, and she describes herself as a transsexual vegan from Poland. She has her eyeballs tattooed black, tongue split, forehead implants, and huge gauges. She says she likes swastikas, but she emphasizes definitely not the Nazi meaning. In addition to being modified herself, she performs piercings, eyeball tattoos, implants, scarification, and ear pointing.
Number 13.
Daniel Rutt has very unusual piercings in that he had his Achilles heel pierced. He gradually increased the size over time and got them as big as 16 millimeters. He says, however, that he experienced pain when walking and has since downsized to a smaller size. He also got winged piercings that look like the Roman god Mercury or Greek god Hermes.
Number 12.
Besides having his eyes tattooed black, Kenny Wagner has what are known as Dahlia cuts, aka Glasgow smile, aka Chelsea smile, aka Cheshire grin. Interestingly, the term Dahlia cuts is a reference to Black Dahlia, which was a nickname given to a woman named Elizabeth Short, who was murdered and mutilated and was cut from the corners of her mouth to her ears. Kenny says that it gets annoying having to hear all the Heath Ledger references.
Number 11.
Daryl Belmares, aka Bear Big Ears, was born in 1956 and has the world's largest stretch earlobes at 5.5 inches. Daryl appeared in the 2005 documentary Modify.
Number 10.
Joel Migler is a young German man who has what are known as cheek tunnels. At almost 1.5 inches wide, he says having his cheeks pierced wasn't really that painful as local anesthetic was used. The most risky thing about getting cheek implants is the possibility of affecting the salivary glands. Like many body modifiers, he started experimenting young, at age 13. And has since spent over $6,000 modifying his body.
Number 9.
Jesse Thornhill, aka Jesse Starr, became famous when he was arrested for allegedly attempting to run over his landlord, and his mugshot became widely circulated. A few months later, the charges were dismissed. Among his many body modifications, he has a Trojan helmet brand on his head, and he said that is what hurt the most.
Number 8.
Elaine Davidson is the most pierced person in the world, having over 9,000 piercings. She was originally from Brazil but now lives in Scotland. She estimates that her piercings weigh about 6 pounds. In 2011, she married a man who has no piercings. I'm thinking they must be very careful during sex. I'm also wondering how showering goes.
Number 7.
At 10 years old, Dennis Avner was given the name Stocking Cap by a Native American medicine man. Since then, he spent nearly $200,000 in having body modifications. He had his ears reshaped to give them a pointy cat-like look. He had his lip cleft. He had silicone injected into his upper lip and cheeks. He had piercings for his whiskers. His natural teeth had been nearly destroyed from years of drinking and drug abuse, and so when it was time to get dentures, he got them as cat teeth. He also grew out his fingernails to be like cat claws. Interestingly, despite his extreme efforts to look like a tiger, his body was covered in fish scales, which he had done before he decided to pursue his cat transformation. He died November 5th, 2012, alone in his garage in Tonopah, Nevada. Many believe it was a suicide.
Number 6.
This is Paulie Unstoppable, who was born in 1985. He says he grew up as a fat kid and weighed 280 pounds at one point and had difficulty being happy about his appearance. He started young, having had his earlobes pierced by age 7. He pierced his penis at age 11, giving himself a Prince Albert. At age 15, he gave himself a myotomy, which for the layman means he split the head of his own penis with a razor blade. He often gets asked if the holes in his nose affect his breathing, and he says he actually finds it easier to breathe with his nose plugs in. He says when he sneezes or blows his nose, he just covers his entire nose. Recently, he changed his name to Farrah Flawless and is now legally a female and plans to undergo gender confirmation surgery.
Number 5.
This is Fishmaw, aka Fishmouth, aka Zigzag. There is not much information on Zigzag out there because apparently he didn't want his pictures published, but yeah, well, internet. As you can see, he has enormous cheek plugs. Some people say he removed his cheek plugs because his eyes were irritated and he was also having trouble speaking.
Number 4.
This is Kala Kaiwi. Not surprisingly, Kala works as a tattoo artist and body modifier. He moved to Las Vegas as a chef and got the opportunity to apprentice as a piercer, and moved back to Hawaii to open his own shop, Sin City Body Modification and Tattoo. He has 75% of his body covered in tattoos and 67 piercings. Interestingly, he split his own tongue using dental floss. And unless he has a case of pink eye, it looks like he tattooed his eyeball as well. His implants include surgical steel, Teflon, titanium, and silicone.
Number 3.
Cain Mortis is known as the Devil Man of Colombia. He has tattooed his eyeballs black and has horns on his head and arms. Also, he had portions of his nostril and septum removed. He says he wanted to look more evil, and one of his main motivations was the desire to stand out and be different from others. Unbelievably, his Catholic family rejected his body modifications, and so he moved away to Mexico. And after all these body mods, what does Cain become? The spawn of Satan doing the evil Lord's bidding? No, a DJ.
Number 2.
A former lawyer, Maria Jose Cristerna, got her first tattoo when she was 14. Dubbed Mexico's Vampire Lady, she now has over 95% of her body covered in tattoos. She has 10 horns on her head and dental implants to give her a vampire look. She also now runs a tattoo and clothing store. She says she did it to express her freedom after the end of her abusive first marriage. She has since remarried and has 4 children. She is now also a DJ. How awesome would it have been if she stayed a lawyer? Just imagine seeing her as the opposing counsel. And now for the number 1 most insane body modification. For more videos like this, subscribe here.
Number 1.
Say you love comic books as a kid? Apparently not as much as Henry Damon, a 37-year-old Venezuelan man who has had several procedures done in order to make himself look like the Marvel comic book character Red Skull, who is the arch enemy of Captain America. The character from the comic books is portrayed as a Nazi, and as a Venezuelan, one has to imagine that Henry doesn't embody that philosophy. Henry is married and is a father. His work was performed by Emilio Gonzalez, who dropped out of medical school to concentrate on body modifications and who has performed many extreme body modifications. People have joked that he's apparently willing to do everything to look like Red Skull, but shave. Which body modification was craziest to you? Hey guys, thanks so much for watching my newest video. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, subscribe. Check out my earlier video I did on creepy Halloween makeup.